Beneath the streets of the most romantic city in the world lies a sprawling, sunless labyrinth where the remains of 6 million Parisians sit in eternal, silent judgment. Above the entrance, a stone carving offers a grim warning to all who dare to descend. Arrête, c'est ici l'empire de l'amour. Stop. This is the empire of death. To understand how the largest necropolis on Earth was created, we must travel back to the late 18th century, a time when Paris was choking on its own dead. For nearly 1,000 years, the city's deceased were buried within the city limits, predominantly in the Cemetery of the Holy Innocents, a burial ground so grotesquely overcrowded that the earth was physically swelling upward, bursting with the remains of plague victims, paupers, and aristocrats alike. The soil was so saturated with putrefying flesh that it could no longer decompose the bodies, leading to a stench so profound that nearby merchants reported their wine turning to vinegar and milk spoiling in the glass. The crisis reached a terrifying climax in the spring of 1780 when weeks of relentless rain caused the earth to become dangerously bloated. In the dead of night, the retaining wall of a neighboring property finally gave way, and the basement of a restaurant adjacent to the cemetery was violently flooded with mud, shattered coffins, and a horrific cascade of rotting, half-decomposed corpses, proving to King Louis XVI that the dead were literally consuming the city of the living. The solution to this macabre crisis lay directly beneath the Parisians' feet in a vast, unmapped network of ancient limestone quarries that had been mined since the Roman era to build the very cathedrals and palaces that graced the surface. By the 1770s, these subterranean voids had been completely forgotten until the streets of Paris literally began collapsing into massive sinkholes, swallowing entire blocks into the abyss. The king appointed an architect named Charles-Axel Guillemot to head the newly formed Inspectorate General of Quarries, tasking him with the monumental job of mapping and reinforcing the hollow earth to save the city from caving in on itself. As Guillemot's team descended into the damp, lightless void, shoring up the crumbling ceilings with massive stone pillars, the authorities realized that these two existential crises could solve each other. The unstable, empty mines could become the new, permanent home for the overflowing dead. In 1786, the greatest exhumation in human history began under the shroud of darkness. Every night at twilight, for 12 arduous years, an endless procession of black-draped, horse-drawn carts traversed the streets of Paris, carrying the remains of millions from the city's cemeteries to a designated quarry shaft known as the Tombe Issoire. Accompanied only by the flickering light of torches and the haunting chants of priests, the workers tipped the carts, sending an avalanche of skulls, femurs, and ribs cascading down the shafts into the darkness below. Initially, the bones were simply piled into massive, chaotic heaps within the tunnels, a disorganized mountain of mortality. However, in 1810, the new head of the inspectorate, Louis-Étienne Héricart de Thury, descended into the catacombs and decided that this dumping ground lacked the solemnity the dead deserved. He transformed the chaotic piles into a horrifyingly beautiful mausoleum, ordering his men to painstakingly stack the bones into intricate decorative walls, sorting the remains by cemetery of origin and framing them with rows of grinning skulls, creating a gallery of death that blurred the line between a tomb and a work of art. With over 200 miles of interconnected tunnels snaking beneath the city, the catacombs quickly became a treacherous, maddening labyrinth for anyone foolish enough to enter without a guide. The most infamous victim of the dark was a man named Philibert Aspert, a hospital porter who, during the tumultuous days of the French Revolution in November 1793, entered the quarry network via a staircase in his courtyard. Historians believe Aspert was searching for a secret stash of liquor hidden by the monks of a nearby Chartreux monastery, but armed with a single candle, he quickly lost his bearings in the freezing, identical stone corridors. For days, Aspert would have wandered in total, sensory-depriving darkness, screaming for help that would never come, his hands tracing the cold, damp walls, until he finally succumbed to dehydration and hypothermia just a few dozen feet from a locked exit. His body lay undiscovered in the pitch black for 11 agonizing years until a group of quarry workers stumbled upon his skeleton in 1804, identifying him only by the hospital keys still dangling from his rotted belt, a grim testament to the unforgiving nature of the underworld. Through the centuries, this subterranean city has served many purposes. It was a secret sanctuary for the French resistance during the Nazi occupation of World War II, a subterranean concert hall for eccentric nobles in the 19th century, and today, an underground playground for urban explorers known as Cataphiles, who map the off-limits sectors and host clandestine parties among the dead. While a tiny 1-mile fraction of the catacombs is open to tourists, the vast, overwhelming majority of this 200-mile network remains highly restricted, unlit and heavily policed, structurally unstable and prone to flooding. The catacombs of Paris stand as the ultimate monument to human mortality, a physical reminder that the glittering, bustling city of light above is inextricably anchored to an ocean of darkness below, built upon the silent, stacked bones of 6 million forgotten souls who watch from the shadows, waiting for the rest of the world to join them.